Wow, right off the bat, this is a very clean looking case. I gotta say, first impressions of this case, I mean, the quality feels really good. It doesn't feel cheap at all. You got those 3 intake fans in the front. They look like they're 120 millimeters. You got one in the back. Yeah, that's just the sleds in the right above the PSU shroud here. You have a cutout for the PSU shroud. It looks like there's some sort of dust filtering on the top, and you basically just push down, and it clicks, and then you just lift up. You got USB ports in the front. You have headphone and mic jack. You have power and reset switch, as well as it looks like a fan controller button. We'll get into that later. But it looks like all the standoffs are pre-installed. So I'm just gonna have to double check that real quick against the micro ATX motherboard. So this motherboard actually has 2 extra holes. One right here and one right here. But this overall looks like a very interesting case to build in. And the primary reason I considered checking one of these out is because literally everything comes included with this case, even the fan hub. Come to think of it, let's turn the case around and take a look at the back. Alright, so it looks like we have the 3.5-inch drive cage here, which looks a little bit bent, but it's not a deal breaker. It looks like it's bending back. I don't know what the deal is with that, but it looks like you push down on this and it just pulls right out. But yeah, built-in fan controller. Everything included in this case. All you have to do is just drop in the internal components. SSD sled here, SSD sled here, SSD sled here. Right there you have your dust filter for the power supply. It looks like a sheet of perforated plastic. Alright, let's see what we have for accessories here. Right off the bat, what's interesting is that there looks like a diagnostic speaker right here. So you plug this into your motherboard, and whenever you have a problem where there's no post, this right here will give you a reading in a series of beeps to help you diagnose what the problem is. Looks like we have all the screws and extra case standoffs should we need them. User's manual, extra PCIe bracket, zip ties, and a microfiber cloth. So right here I have a Vitro air cooler. Underneath that I have the i5 11600K. I have 32 gigabytes, two 16 gigabyte DIMMs of Team Group. That's 3200 megahertz memory, CL16. I have a GTX 1080 Ti Duke and a Asus Prime Z590 micro ATX motherboard. I'm going to be disassembling all of this and installing it into the case. Alright, so one thing I forgot to tell you is I'm going to be installing a 16 terabyte drive in here to hold all my media for this channel. And there is that drive cage that I showed you earlier. I'm going to go ahead and install that now, along with the power supply unit. And let's get this thing fired up. Okay, so yes, it is a little bit of space restraint, but I was able to shift over the drive sled cage, and it looks like there's just enough room. So far, the one thing I think Zalman could do better is this right here are the fan connections that go to the fan hub. They could have cable managed this a little bit better right out of the box. I ran the VGA cables for the graphics card up through the middle slot down in the bottom right there, so that it'll just go up underneath the graphics card, and it'll be kind of out of sight because the graphics card will be sort of blocking the view. Alright, moving on to an aspect of this case that I really do not like about this case, and that is these little panels for the PCIe brackets. They don't unscrew, you have to break them off. Check this out. So you want to make sure that when you're breaking these off, that there's nothing protruding out from your motherboard when you do that. Because you might hit something on the motherboard, but I doubt that that's going to happen with any scenario. But I had to break off 2 of these. You cannot re-screw them in, and that's going to allow me to install the GTX 1080 Ti MSI Duke, and I'm going to do that right now. Okay, power cable is installed, and I flip the switch on the power supply. Let's see what happens. That took a while. Alright, so clearly it posted. Nice. Alright, so a little bit of a clarification on the lighting for the light button. Actually, this is on its highest setting. When you go ahead and you push the light button, you'll see that it dims the lights. And it kind of lowers the RPM speed so it's quieter. That is very cool. And then, on top of that, if you push it once more, it shuts off the lights. But the fans keep going. Now, if you push this once more, it actually shuts off all the fans. So if your computer's idling and you're just doing some basic web browsing, that's pretty cool, because when these fans are not running, that means less dust is going to get into the chassis. This does have a perforated front panel, and it has a finer mesh right behind it. But no matter what you have, if you have like the best dust filter, then you're gonna be restricting air. The finer that, the better that dust filter is, the more looser the dust filter is, the more airflow you get. But that means that you get more dust in the chassis. But no matter what you have, there's always going to be dust in the chassis. So what's really cool about this is that only the CPU cooler fan is running, and all the other fans that are for chassis airflow aren't running. So that means less overall dust into the system when you're doing just basic tasks. That's pretty cool.